Hello, Internet. I've heard a lot of people ask, is it okay if I go out and collect my own gravel? Say from the side of a stream or, gravel pile or the bagged stone that they sell at the fruit market. And what I say to that is, I do it. It's a heck of a lot cheaper if you go out and dig it yourself. I would suggest using a colander. This is one of my daughter's sand toys for the beach, and basically just scoop it up and rinse it out in water. If you've got a stream right there or a lake or something where you found the gravel you want to put in your tank, you just rinse it, kind of like a gold panner, and get rid of all the sand and dirt. I had the kids help me with this, so there's some dirt in there that needs to be rinsed out of it. But I can do all that in one shot when I'm finished sterilizing it. Now, you've heard about biological material for, sumps, fluidized sumps, canister filters, all of that. Well, basically your gravel can be your biological filtrate. It can be your biological medium, and that's the reason we have to sterilize it. I'm going to put it in a bucket just like that. I'm going to take a piece of rigid airline tubing. Rigid because it obviously won't bend that easily. I hook it up to my air pump and stick it in here, and I will add gravel kind of carefully. Sometimes you get big huge chunks, and sometimes, but I like the looks of it. I like the smaller stuff too, the smaller stuff and the bigger stuff. And I will adjust where my airline is as I see fit. Now I put a couple scoops in there to keep my airline from moving. You can put an air stone in the bottom there if you want to diffuse air a little better, but I found that it really isn't necessary. Oh, this is going to be heavy. And I'll just add the desired amount of gravel I want to clean for right now to the mix. Kind of level it out some. Get a little water in there. Now, what do we use to sterilize it? Fish tank. Fish tank's best friend, bleach. Okay, I use this to disinfect my nets. I use it to disinfect my hoses. I'm going to pour cup and a half, whatever I feel like in there. I'd say at least a cup for a couple gallons. But what that's going to do is that's going to kill and pretty much dissolve any algae or microscopic critters that are in there. They're going to die. And we're going to add some water to this just to bring it up so that we have good circulation through this future substrate. Now, you could probably do this with sand too, but sand would be easier to do it in the oven on a cookie sheet. You just bring it up to 300 degrees or 250 degrees and keep it there for a while. I'd say for a couple hours, and it'll kill anything that's in it. But then you still got the dead critters, all the dead microbes and everything in there, which could help speed up your natural cycle in your tank, but I don't want to do that. I'm working with this gravel. It turns gray, brown, muddy looking. But if you look, I've got a nice bit of bubbling going on there. And the reason for that is just like an air, when you put air through your sponge filter, it draws water up. And on the other side of the bucket, the water will be drawn back down through. So our bleach solution will be constantly flowing through the stones. And that's what we want to kill everything off. Naturally, nothing's going to survive in that if you leave it overnight like I do. And tomorrow will come along and I'll rinse it and stir it and rinse it and stir it. It takes a while, it's a little bit of effort, but I found that I get exactly what I want, the look I want, which is natural stone, and a feeling of accomplishment, actually. I feel a little prouder about my tanks, and when people ask me where I got my substrate, I tell them I just went out, collected it. And the other thing you've got to know is the makeup of the stone. Like right here, I've got a piece of limestone with it's got a bunch of little fossils in it and stuff like that, but that's limestone. That's going to release calcium into my water. Water coming out of my tap is 6.2 and on the hardness scale, and I found that the tanks that I use this gravel in, they balance out at 7.2. So it's going to raise your pH if you've got limestone in there, or shells. Shells are made of calcium, just like limestone. So that's something you're going to have to take into account if you're keeping softwater fish. If you're keeping warus, or if you're keeping discus, or some wild-caught angels, they're not going to like the harder water. So what I would suggest is get your substrate, put it in a bucket, add some of your tap water, and test after a few days. If you've already got hard water, you really don't have to worry about it. But if you don't have hard water naturally, then that's something you got to think about, because this could have detrimental side effects for your fish. But the fish I keep tame caught angel, sorry about that, tank raised angels, and they seem to do just fine with this substrate. I use it in all my grow out tanks. I have, as a lot of people know, I am a big advocate for under gravel filters, and this varied size of substrate, the different sizes of pebbles, makes for an exceptionally good filter medium. And it's easy to clean. You just stick the siphon down in there and pick it up, and the gravel falls out of the siphon and all the dirt goes up the hose and ends up here in this sink and gets flushed down the sink. And most of it is big enough and heavy enough that it just doesn't come with. So any of the smaller grains of sand that I miss when I wash this out tomorrow, I will probably end up sucking into my septic system. But there's such a fine amount of it that I really don't have to worry about it. But I have beautiful reds and greens and blues and browns and blacks and pinks. So I have a very beautiful substrate when I'm all done. And like I said before, it's all full of fossils. There's that's an old fossil clam stuck in that stone, and I have some other fossilized worm tracks, and every time I clean, it changes the look of the aquarium. And sometimes you find bigger fossils, but I'm here in Michigan, where we've got a lot of ancient coral reefs. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of the Petoskey stone. I'm sure there's tens of thousands of pieces of Petoskey stone in these buckets that I've got here to clean. I've got 1, 2, 3, and this one makes 4 buckets left to clean. I already cleaned 1 bucket full, and it's, oh, I see the kids have been helping, throwing stuff in it. This is what it looks like when it's all done. Beautiful, beautiful gravel, ready for a fish tank. Oh, there's a piece of slate there. There's all kinds of stuff in here that, different colors, different shapes, different sizes. That looks like an agate there. But this is what I use for my substrates. I love the natural look. Now, if you're Like I said, if you're looking for sand, I would fix that in a bucket, or in an oven, not in a bucket, unless you wanted to add bleach to the bucket first and stir it around and then spread it on a cookie sheet and stick it in the oven. That could help too if you wanted to rinse it that way. But either way, it's going to take some cleaning. Remember how pristinely clean that water was before? Well, it's starting to get yucky, nasty, and that's the microbes and critters and snail eggs and whatever that's dying off and dissolving because of the bleach. And I will come back tomorrow and I'll dump this bleach water off and rinse it and rinse it and rinse it several times, and then I will continue rinsing it with this colander. I'll pick up a little bit, run it under water, dump it in a clean bucket, and I'll be good to go. I guess you could put this in the oven to kill it off too, but then you've still got to dissolve away all the dead algae and microorganisms that you don't want. You still got their carcasses in there, so it's better to just, I've found, to just do it right straight in here and right in a bucket, pour some bleach in, put a little water, put the bubbles through it and let it circulate naturally, and I've never had any diseases in my tanks because of it. So if you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the down below there, and I'll get back to them if I see them. And if you like what you see here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and we'll talk to you later. If you have any questions on other things that you'd like to see me experiment with, don't be afraid to ask. The only stupid question in the aquarium hobby is the one you don't ask, because if you don't ask it, you don't know the answer, and if you don't know the answer, it could kill your fish. So like I said, no stupid questions here, and anybody that picks on somebody will be banned, period, cut and dried. I can just eliminate you from being able to see these videos. So till next time, we'll see you guys later, okay?